Good morning, class of 2023. This is Mr. Legg here working on your ICAP lesson for this week. When we talk about ICAP, we're talking about your individual career and academic plan. But as I told you before, we're going to be focusing less on the questions that we've gone over that relate to your career options, your college options, to your post-secondary goals, what you're going to be doing after high school. That is still very much going to be part of your grade for SEL is completion of those ICAP lessons. And so I will have a video to you all tomorrow that will go over quarter one through quarter four questions, how to answer them, and actually some answers in some instances. So we'll recap that at the end of this lesson. But now the focus is really going to be on you, the person. And last time we talked about growth mindsets and fixed mindsets. And we talked about kind of being able to shift from being fixed to a growth mindset. And I feel like it's really important to continue to share these type of thoughts with you because of the current environment we're in. So last time, part of what we discussed is how we think. So say, for instance, in this virtual environment, I can't learn math in a virtual environment. I can't focus in virtual learning. I don't want to go to college if it's online. And shifting that thinking to, with help and hard work, I can learn in math in a virtual environment. How can I learn to focus in virtual learning? So it's not even saying that I absolutely know how to focus, but how can I learn to focus? What are my resources? Who can I talk to? What can I do? How can I prepare myself if college is online? So these are matters of shifting your thinking. These are matters of asking yourself questions. And this is a matter of seeking help and finding out the different ways that you can receive support to get to where you want to get. And that's the beautiful thing about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. early colleges. There are a lot of resources here that are intended to help you to get to where you want to get. And we'll talk a little bit about those later. Last time I shared with you, and I stated, part of my job as a counselor is to help you see the future you want for yourself, to help you learn about and provide resources to help you get there, and to make sure you have the ability to give yourself options. And so, the example I use is wanting to make sure you can see yourself as doctors, as nurses, as business people, as electricians on a construction site, being a foreman, being a boss, owning a business. That's my job. And if you're not able to see it, then I'm failing at some of my job. And so I presented this opportunity to all of you, to all 10th graders. And it was ACE Mentoring, which is ACE stands for Architecture, Construction, and Engineering. And they meet once a week for 2 hours. And they bring people in the field of architecture, construction, and engineering to work with our students. And right now they're doing this virtually. It's great because they get mentorship. There's opportunities for internships, field trips, scholarships, and other unique opportunities where students are getting access to things they might not otherwise have access to. And two of our best students, current juniors, are in this program. One of them is in college calculus as a junior, which means last year when she was your age, sophomore, she was taking college algebra. One of our top math students, also been in our engineering program for a while. And these two students told me when they got into that room, virtual room, not even a regular classroom, but in a virtual room with students from all over Denver, they felt like they didn't belong. They had questions about whether they were smart enough or whether they knew enough to be able to belong in this opportunity, in this program. And it made me take a step back. It made me take a step back because, again, my whole goal is to make sure that you're able to see yourself in this field, in these fields, able to see yourself in these positions and knowing that you belong. And so I know probably all of you know this game. My family has had a chance to play it a couple of times. Um, Among Us. And in the game Among Us, there is the imposter, right? The person who uh, who is who's not who everybody thinks they are, the person who is up to no good. Um, but that is something that we often feel, primarily as people of color, um, females, any type of marginalized community, often feel like they do not belong. And that is a feeling that is very can be very lonely, can be very isolating. And I know that for myself, having worked in banking for 13 and a half years. I often, in the rooms that I found myself in the offices, in the buildings, in the places, in the experiences I was having as a banker, I often was the only black man there. I am also Vietnamese, and often I was the only Asian person there. Um, that is the truth in our world. Although we see a lot of people of color in our school, the fact is, say for instance, state of Colorado is only 4% Black and African American, and so you're going to find yourself in a lot of spaces where you may feel like you don't belong. And what I'm not going to tell you is that that's not natural. It is natural. Um, it is a feeling that we have, as humans, have. People of all races have it, white people included. They step into places and feel like they don't belong. They step into places and feel like they're not smart enough. They feel like a fraud. They feel like someone's going to figure them out. Things aren't perfect, so it's not a good fit for them. They don't feel deserving. They feel like other people are better than them. And I'd ask you to take a moment and try to think about a situation in which you found yourself feeling like this. Was it your engineering class, maybe? Was it your Spanish class? Think about your Spanish class. Maybe you stepped into Spanish with Mr. Vargas and he was asking daily that you use Spanish, that you speak Spanish, um, and you felt like you didn't belong. Take a moment to think about that. I'm going to go let my dog in real quick. So, again, we find ourselves often questioning our value, our worth, our abilities, whether we belong. And that's very natural. But part of that growth mindset that we've talked about is that this is not a permanent state. That maybe you don't know as much as the people around you, but you have the ability to learn it. Maybe, you are not a perfect fit for the situation, but how can you thrive in that situation? How can you learn how to be successful in that situation? So, imposter syndrome, we often look at ourselves as this is what we know, being very small, and this is what we think what other people know a lot more than us, when really we're often on the same boat. And maybe we're not in the same boat in terms of knowledge. Okay, maybe one person has more knowledge than the other, but maybe you bring something else that this other person does not bring. And so in that case, maybe you are in fact on equal footing. But the reality is often things are never as bad as we think they are. And so when you find yourself feeling like an imposter, when you don't belong, know that that's natural. Know that there are many others that feel that way. Those with straight A's feel that way. Those who fail most of their classes feel that way. And those in between. This is a very natural and human feeling. And I'm kind of going to go back to the middle school aspect of this lesson too. Is it also highlights the fact that you never want to make somebody feel like an imposter. You never want to make somebody feel like they don't belong, like they're not good enough. So I want to give you just a couple of things to think about and ways to cope with imposter syndrome. One thing that's really important for all of us is just to be able to recognize when you're when you're treating yourself in a way that says you don't belong, or when you're having these feelings of isolating yourself and not being good enough for a situation, any given situation. Um, Remember that you're not alone. Like I said, many people experience this. I would essentially say everybody experiences this, whether it's something that is more permanent or whether it's just individual circumstances that come up every once in a while. Everybody feels this. Distinguish humility and fear. Know what the difference is between being humble, not having to be arrogant, not having to be overconfident, but also know the difference between that and fear. And we talked about the fact how fear can prevent you from doing what you want to be able to do in the future. We don't want you making decisions out of fear. Let go of perfectionism. You do not have to be perfect for any given task or any given situation. Nobody expects that of you. And anytime you feel like people are expecting that of you, know that that's probably not the case, or that these people are enforcing unreasonable expectations. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace. Can't tell you all of that enough. You may be in a situation where you are failing, uh, but with a growth mindset, you have to realize uh, that you don't have to be hard on yourself, but that you can do better. You need to find the resources that'll help you do better. Ask for that help and know that you're not alone. But be kind to yourself. Track your success. You know, realize and recognize those times when you were successful. Write it down if you need to, so that you can always go back to it and state, "Hey, I didn't expect to do great in this time, and I did great," or "I expected to do great, and I did great." And you can look back at that and you can realize the times you're downplaying what you've done, the times you're talking bad about yourself, you can look at it and say, "Hey, no, that's not true. I'm good." Talk with your mentor and a manager. That's more of a job situation. But again, this is more of a fact of you're not alone, and accessing your resources. So whether it's your teacher, whether it's your counselor, whether it's a family member, whether it's another staff member in school, whether it's a coworker, a peer, talk with people. Often they'll let you know that what you're thinking is just really negative to yourself. It's sabotaging yourself. It's making it so that you can't be successful, not because you're not capable, not because you can't do it, but because your thoughts are leading you to this negative place. Your thoughts are leading you to failure. Say yes to opportunities. I can't say yes enough to this, as I think you know at this point. My real goal is always to provide opportunities for students to get out of their box, to be exposed to opportunities that they may not otherwise see themselves in or have access to. But saying yes to opportunities and trying new things and challenging yourself and embracing the feeling. Some of that fear, some of that some of the challenges and feeling that difficulty, that rigorousness that's coming up when you're in a challenging situation or when you feel like you don't belong. Again, it's a natural feeling, so embrace it. Embrace some of that negative feeling and turn it into a positive. Confident that you can turn things around. It might not be a day, it might not be a month, it might take longer than that. But embrace that difficulty. And so going back to what we were looking at, discussing before again, weird and uncertain times, COVID, virtual learning, um, and again, heading back to that fear, not letting fear or lack of information, prevent you from getting what you deserve, having that growth mindset, not accepting that you're an imposter, not accepting that you don't belong, making sure that you use your resources, the people around you, the organizations, the opportunities to give you information that you need to be successful and to push away that fear that often does not belong. There is healthy fear, or you can make fear and turn it around and make it healthy. but often you do not want to make your decisions out of fear. And often fear will keep you from getting from what you deserve. So make sure when you have these feelings of not belonging, either fight against them or get help to fight against them, but don't allow them to make your decision for you. And as we said earlier, your path may be different than you expected, but your goal doesn't have to be. There are sophomores that are struggling right now. There are sophomores with freshman credit. There are sophomores with straight A's that are breaking down because they're not able to see their friends because of the difficulty of the virtual environment and maybe the amount of work they have. Um, Things look different than you expected, but that doesn't mean your goal has to change. And again, your goal may change, but make that a choice. Make that goal changing based upon information that you have, not out of fear. So you're headed into course selection. Okay, I'm not going to go into this too much, but you're headed into course selection, and make sure you do so with a growth mindset, knowing that you are capable, knowing that you belong. So, someone might say, Mr. Legg, you're being extra. I'm just picking classes. But I'm telling you, try to approach things with a growth mindset. Try to approach things knowing that while you may not have the knowledge of what that math class takes, that you can get that knowledge. You might not have the current English skills to be successful in that English class, but that is something you're willing to work hard and get the support to do. So your math, English and science selections are likely to be based upon recommendations. Also, you'll be taking some tests, and some of that will let us know based upon how you've done in your previous classes, how you do on these tests, and how your teachers recommend will tell which math, English, and science classes you'll be placed in. But I also say use your resources. Speak up if you feel like you need to be heard, if you feel like you've been misplaced in a class, and do that sooner rather than later. Speak up and ask questions about the process. There are going to be some times where we're going to look at a different science class than you're being placed in. So speak up, advocate for yourself, and that's what our counselors are here for. And talk with your teachers as well. Social studies. One of the great things we've been able to do, especially with the push for the change in curriculum with DPS that our very own students have pushed for, to include Black and African American history across all content, and more BIPOC stories, more stories of our indigenous people, more stories of our Hispanic and Latinx people, to be included across all subjects through DPS. Awesome work. And some of what we've been able to do in social studies is give you more options. And so when we look at social studies, you should have some choice and realize don't pick what's easy. But look at what do you want to learn about? What do you need to learn about? Those are important things. Do you want to learn more about gender studies? Do you want to learn more about Black and African American history? Do you want to learn more about government to better understand how our government works, so you understand how our government has both failed us and worked for us? Think about those things when you're selecting class. Electives examples. Again, I've spoken before, don't pick classes that your friends are going to be in, or don't pick classes just because your friend's going to be in there. Because your friend in the end may not have the same interests in the future as you, may not have the same needs as you. So when we look at ROTC, some people look at ROTC right away and just completely dismiss it. But if you need discipline and structure, or if you work very well with discipline and structure, if you need help with leadership, or if you feel like you're a good leader and can shine, if you like fitness or you need help with fitness, or if you want to learn about the military, there are opportunities to do that in ROTC. It doesn't have to mean that you want to go in the military. It doesn't mean that you want to learn how to be a leader. But if the discipline, the structure, and the fitness are things that would be of value to you, maybe ROTC is a good choice for you. Engineering. You don't have to want to be an engineer to take an engineering class. Maybe you want to develop your math skills. If you're interested in architecture, if you're interested in a science field, math skills are very important. Maybe you want to work on your problem solving skills. Maybe you need to learn how to use technology, 3D printers, and some of the great technology that they're able to use in our engineering classroom. Ceramics, maybe you're creative or you want to work on your creativity. Maybe you like working with your hands, or maybe you need to challenge yourself. Maybe you've been that student or that person who always says, "Oh, I'm not artistic. I could never do that." Um, Ceramics is a great way to express yourself creatively, and again, a great way to work with your hands. But it may be a way to challenge you too, to challenge that thought of, I can't do this. I couldn't make something for the life of me. Challenge yourself. Again, so we're talking about that growth mindset. We're talking about what you're capable of and that you belong. And so I want to make sure to present these opportunities to you again, especially for those of you who are on track. So those of you who haven't failed classes, or if you have failed classes, it's only been one or two, and it hasn't been your math or English class, these are options you want to take a look at. I want to make sure that your time in high school you feel that it is spent focusing on something that really matters to you, or that something that you really want to explore. And so again, these are some of the options where you can spend next year half the time here working on math, English, and either science or social studies, and then half the time at CEC. And we can discuss how you get there and all that stuff later, but we help. But get a chance to explore some of these other areas: architecture, audio engineering, automotive technology, construction technology, culinary arts. These are classes where you get hands-on experience in those fields. Fashion design, medical careers, video game design, welding. These are all options that you have access to for free because you're a DPS student. So if you're interested in these and want to have the opportunity to do this, remember that part of your graduation requirement moving forward is going to include that you have some proficiency in math and English. And if you maybe are not able to get to that level of proficiency, one other way you can meet that requirement is by being proficient in a career. And some of these classes will offer you the ability to be considered proficient in a career. So if you take a look, the top link, that is how you look at the different programs to get more information. And if you look at the second link, that's actually how you apply to be a part-time student. And when I say part-time student, you're part-time here, part-time at that school. So please take a picture of this and let us know that you're interested in this. If you choose to apply, make sure to talk with your counselor so that we can coordinate with you and the other school and give you the details that you need. Stretch yourself. Give this a try. Remember, this isn't about committing yourself to these careers. This is about exploring. And what you might find is it's not for you, but at least you've explored. And then if you don't like it, hopefully also you're able to take something out of it, something that you're able to learn. Again, I've presented this information before. The application is open. Paid internship at Children's Hospital. It's called the MC Squared program. That's the site. That's the link to apply to this program. We have 3 to 4 students have participated in this every year, and I've never had a student have a negative experience. Not only do they provide a paid internship for you, they also provide support from 10th grade through 12th grade on getting you to college or getting you into a medical field. The University of Colorado Pre-Health Scholars Program. Okay, see yourself in the medical field. Once a month, you go on to the University of Colorado Hospital campus, which is right where Children's Hospital is, and you focus on your medical career, being successful in high school, preparing for college. There's summer program, which can last anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on the grade that you participate in. And you get access to free college classes and just medical opportunities that others do not have access to. That link is to the application. And tomorrow, Friday at noon, lunchtime, I actually have Martin Luther King Jr. Early College graduates who are going to talk more about these programs and their experiences in the programs. And I will even have a current Martin Luther King student talk with you about their experiences. So rather than hearing about it from me, you'll hear about it from them. I will start the meeting with some general information that'll help you know more about the programs. But the idea is to make sure you hear from people who just graduated last year, who have participated in these programs, so that you can learn more. So that link there is the link to the Google Meet at 12 o'clock tomorrow. So take a picture, click on that link tomorrow at 12 o'clock or 11:55, and you will be able to see the presentation from our former students and current students. Maybe you haven't seen yourself as a volunteer. We just met yesterday. We're feeding the homeless next week. We're feeding people within our community that have need this Saturday. And we are reading to elementary school students at Florida Pitt Waller, actually starting next Thursday. So if these sound interesting to you, talk with Sierra Noel, talk with Ariane Herrera, who is a junior, or come and see me, and we are glad to get you connected. Otherwise, 2 to 3:30, 2:30 to 3:30, the first and third Wednesdays of the month, go to the Google Meet code DMLK VC team. And lastly, the Metro State After School Program. This is their calendar for March. You can see the activities that they have vary. A lot of cool different things going on. Artistic, scientific, career focused, explorational, and you can get help with homework. All of this is free. You get connected with the university. Again, this is maybe one of those things where you think, this is just not for me. Well, a lot of the opportunities that I just spoke to are for students that have 3.0 GPAs or higher. You may not have a 3.0 GPA or higher, but this program, it doesn't matter. You can connect with this university and start participating in college programming and just exploratory programming as you see on this schedule, and be a part of something that connects you to your university and not have great grades, but also be a part of something that's intended to help you with those grades, help you with that homework. And so again, how you connect is through this website, bluejeans.com. That's the code there. Take a picture. They're here Monday through Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m. Homework help and exploration and a connection to a university. Okay. And please feel free to contact me. That's my contact information if you just want to hear more and you want to talk to me directly about it. So again, tomorrow I'm going to provide your SEL teachers with a YouTube video with instructions on how to complete all of your Q1 through Q4 ICAP questions. So it'll all be in one place, but I'm not going to bore you anymore the rest of this year focusing on those questions. While those questions are very important, we've gone over them plenty. And so I'm not saying I'm not going to go back to any of those concepts or discuss any of the matters as it relates to those questions, but our focus is no longer going to be on answering these questions. You should have them done, and you should always have access to this video that allow you to get them done. And the goal is to have them done by next Friday so that you can complete all your ICAP questions and you can get full points for ICAP grade in SEL. Realizing that I believe a third or 33% of your grade in SEL is based upon you completing your ICAP questions, and that it is a graduation requirement. And realizing that SEL, you get 5 credits for SEL. You also get 5 credits for math, 5 credits for English. The grade you get in this class matters just as much as any other based upon how much credit we're assigning to it. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for hearing me out. And again, you belong. We too often tell each other that we don't belong. We tell ourselves that we don't belong. I can't tell you enough. You belong. You are completely capable. You're not an imposter. And I look forward to continue serving you. Take care. Goodbye.